smoke them all with an intellect and a savoir-faire. No one in the whole universe will ever compare. I am yours now and you are mine, and together we'll love through all space and time, so don't cry. One day all seven will die. All seven and we'll watch them fall. They stand in the way of love and we will smoke them all with an intellect and a savoir-faire. No one in the whole universe will ever compare. I am yours now and you are mine, and
All right, good day. That was my main man Prince, which was Seven, one of my favorite songs ever. I feel like a radio disc jockey right about now. Well, welcome to our quick start series. This is the second of our quick start series, and again, the idea behind all of this is to do quick meetings or quick conference webinars without having everybody on the call together because of scheduling. You could watch this at your own time, preferably as soon as possible. But again, these are just things that we went over, but more in a very quick and detailed way where we just stick right to the points and just make sure you guys have what you need to get things going to have a successful tax season. Okay, so this one we're going to talk about due diligence is a quick start with due diligence. Chris did a great webinar, well, actually a great few webinars on due diligence, on Schedule C, on what we need, what we don't need, how things should look. His webinars were really good, very informative, very detailed. This webinar is just something very quick, some key points to remember and also just to jog your memory and jog your reference of things we spoke about 2 weeks ago. Because we send out so much information to you guys, things can get lost in translation, and with you retaining so much information, things can be forgotten. So again, this is a quick reference guide for you guys to make sure you know what's what. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with due diligence, quick start. So just off the bat, I want everyone to realize that we are not the IRS. We do not work for the IRS. We do not get paid by the IRS. We do not advocate for the IRS. Okay? We are not the FBI. We are not the DEA. We are not the CIA. We're not the NYPD. We're not the FDA. We're not the ABC. We're not the OPP. We're not the LOP. We're not none of these alphabets. Okay? What we are tax professionals that work for our clients. I just want to make that clear. If we were getting paid by the IRS or any of the other federal agencies, then we'd be doing things a little bit differently, okay? But we do not get paid by them. We get paid by our clients. We work for our clients. We advocate for our clients. We learn as much as we learn so we know what we could do with clients and how to get them the maximum refund possible. Because I just want to make that clear. When we're doing returns, we're working for our clients. The reason we have the client packages and we go through these tutorials and these trainings is to make sure our paperwork looks good if a client come audit our offices. Okay, so this training that we've been taking you on throughout the season and that we're going to talk about today is really through experience. All right, a couple of years ago, one of our offices in New York was audited by the IRS. We got fined for about $35,000. And I was fortunate enough, and it was an expensive lesson, but I was fortunate enough to sit with the IRS to find out what was done wrong and implement that into our training over the last few years. And the key thing that went wrong throughout that audit was the fact that our paperwork did not look right. It wasn't the fact that the client gave us documents and stuff like that. It was the way things were noted on the tax return, things were noted on the 8867, and the way we had our files organized. That's the reason why we got hit hard with these fines, okay? So FYI, when we're doing tax returns, the main rule is for us to feel comfortable enough to do the rules under enough to do the tax returns under the rules that the IRS provides. Okay, there's an old saying that says, "Those who knows the rules rule." Okay, we do not want to scare our clients away. Okay, we can, if we ask too much questions, clients will say, "Well, if we go to that office, we have to prove too much to them, like they're the IRS, so I'm going to go somewhere else." We do not want to scare our clients away. What we do want to focus on is to make sure our paperwork looks good enough, just in case an IRS does audit our files. All right. So there are two types of clients. There's clients that have documents and clients that does not have documents. So client one will come in with a birth certificate, will come in with social security cards, will come in with proof that their child lives with them. Okay? Client two will not come in with anything but a W-2 and say, "I'm claiming this child." Okay? Both those returns can get done. All right? There's no reason why we cannot do a return because the client does not have documents. Both these returns will get done. And just a note, letters, texts, and postcards did go out to client requesting that they bring in more information regarding documents and people they want to claim. Also, if you need help putting together documents or helping clients obtaining documents like bank statement or lease agreements, just ask myself or ask Chris for guidance. Okay, but because a client don't have documentation is not a reason why not to complete a return. You have to make sure our paperwork looks a certain way when we're filing that return. All right, so let's talk about a standard return. So client one and client two. So client one comes in with proof, and client two doesn't have any backup. So with client one now who brings in proof, what we need to do is make a copy of the document they bring us. Okay. Note that document in the client package in the form called dependency proof of residency. Note it in Phoenix and complete the return. Okay, so every client package would have this proof of residency form. Let's give it a second for it to pop up. Okay, so when a client comes in and they have the proof that they have to claim a child, all we have to do is check off the proof that they come in with. I'm sorry. So between 1 and 20, for example, social services records, okay, or green card, or child care provider records. Number 6 is the most common that you'll see, and also number 1 is another common one you'll see. We also tend to see rental agreements come in as well. So when the client brings in a letter from a school, medical records, or child care record, all we're doing is checking this box, okay, and signing off on this form. If the client comes in with the proof, we don't need to ask additional questions. Just check the box, go to Phoenix on form 8867 line 5 and note which box that you checked, or better yet, just write down what the client brought in. Okay, so that's clients who come in with proof. Now what about clients that does not have any backup? Okay, so for clients that does not have any backup, still on a dependence proof of residency, you're going to check out box 21. Okay, you're going to select box 21, clients that does not or did not come in with proof, no documents provided. Once you do that, the client would then have to fill out these additional questions or ask the client these additional questions. Okay, there are 9 questions that have to be asked. Okay, and again, these are questions that I got from the IRS when we were going through these audits, and they get updated every single year. Okay, again, these are proof to show that we did our job as far as asking the clients the question we needed to ask. Okay, so once the client answers these questions, just pick 2 questions. Okay, pick 2 of these questions and input into Phoenix in the additional question form in Phoenix. Okay, also, for the same client who does not have any proof, ask the client, would you be able to provide proof if asked? Now, they say no, obviously it's a problem, but they're going to say yes. Okay, just note that you asked them that. And what we do also at the district office is during the summer, depending on the situation, we do send letters to clients asking for more information if our files don't look a certain way. Okay, so we cover ourselves 3, 4 to 5 different ways. All right. So whether a client comes in with documents or a client doesn't come in with documents, we can still complete the return. It's just a matter of what questions we ask them to complete that return. All right, so with Schedule Cs now, Schedule Cs tend to be a little bit more challenging because people who are not working who want a refund will claim that they do hair, will claim that they mow the grass, will claim that they babysit, and at the end of the day, majority of them don't really do any of that. Okay, it's just a way for them to get a refund. Okay, and like I said earlier, we are not investigating anybody. We are asking the proper questions to make ourselves feel comfortable and to make our paperwork look good. Okay, so what does the IRS look for with a Schedule C? What are some red flags? First thing is, with a Schedule C, if the income and expenses are round numbers, for example, $10,000 of income and $3,000 of expenses, that's a red flag. It will not be funded. It will be flagged by the IRS. Okay? Schedule C that shows income with no expenses, or even with one, two, or three expenses, is also a red flag. Okay, a lot of those refunds will not be funded. Okay, it has to show income, it has to show expenses. When you're talking to your client, it's okay to let them know that they need to show more expenses, not just one or two. At least 4 to 5 expenses will be great. Okay, maxing out the EIC, that's the ultimate red flag. Okay, if you max out the EIC, it will not be funded. Okay, and finally, making sure that your client data sheet or the Schedule C net profit sheet matches the return on the on Phoenix. Now, as a point of extra customer service when dealing with Schedule Cs, look into doing these three things. Okay, if a client comes in for a Schedule C, request that you provide them with an EIN number. It's very simple to go online and do an IRS EIN number. It's free. Let the client know we will not charge you, but having this EIN number in your records and also our files will save us a lot of headache. I will post a webinar later on today to show how to do it, how to get an EIN number. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing is request that the client purchase a receipt book or a logbook. And note that in Phoenix as well in the additional question part. Now, the client will not purchase a receipt book or purchase a logbook. A majority of them won't do that. Okay, but the thing is, you want to request it or suggest it to the client. Okay, and also let the client know that to call us in the beginning of December and ask us to help them put together a P&L for the business before the tax season start. Now, again, majority of the clients won't do that, but it's something that we can note in Phoenix to say that we have requested the client to do these things, just in case that there is an audit and they look through our paperwork and everything looks good. Okay. Now, with Schedule Cs, you are allowed to do a few things. Okay. You are allowed to do a return without any backup. Again, you just need to ask the right questions. You're also allowed to help a client reconstruct their income. What that means is if a client tells you, well, I made about 8,000 and 3,000 expenses, I think, or 5,000 expenses, but I'm not sure. You are allowed to take the client data sheet, help the client figure out how much income per month and what the total expenses are per month based on the things that you learn. Now, you can't write it down for the client. They have to write it down in their own handwriting, but you're allowed to help the client with that. You're also allowed to let the client know what are red flags. For example, writing $10,000 of income is a red flag. You're allowed to let the client know that. You're also allowed to let the client know that if you max out your earned income credit, you will not get funded. Those are things you are allowed to let the client know. Okay, and also changing numbers. Let's say, for example, the client fills out the net profit data sheet, and you put in numbers into return. The refund is not as good as the client would like, and you think it could be a little bit more. You are allowed to change those numbers as long as you have a new net profit client data sheet. Okay, it has to be filled out over again. Now, whether it's scratched off in the beginning to see which numbers work out better, that's fine. But once all that is said and done, have the client fill out a new client data sheet for the Schedule C. Now, again, Clients, Schedule Cs with no backup, you're allowed to help them reconstruct their income, guide them through the process. Remember, no even numbers, must have expenses, and also again must fill out the net profit data sheet fully. Okay, and every office has this, a net profit data sheet. Okay, you're allowed to help the client fill all this out. You have to don't do it in your handwriting. Have the client fill it out. If the numbers change, just have the client fill out a new one. Now, when doing the self-employment documentation list, majority of our Schedule Cs will not come in with documents. They will not. Okay, if they do, that's a great thing, but they will not. If they do not, just fill out box 15. Not fill out, but check box 15 here, saying that the client did not provide additional information, and just ask the client these 10 questions. Okay, so pretty much just fill out the Schedule C information client package fully, answer these questions, pick 2 of these questions, put them into Phoenix, and you are good to go. It's that simple, it's that easy. Okay, now obviously, if you're doing a return and you feel uncomfortable about doing a return, I don't want anyone to do a return and they're not comfortable. But again, I don't want people to turn away business because they're not comfortable. It could just be through experience or through knowledge that you don't feel comfortable doing a return, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. If you don't feel comfortable, reach out to myself, reach out to Chris, reach out to Shama, or reach out to Jamaica. Okay, these guys, including myself, know how to handle situations where you may feel uncomfortable. We know what questions to ask. We know how returns should look. We have done it for years upon years upon years. We've experienced audit letters upon audit letters. We have done it all. Okay, so again, Bro 6, myself, Chris, Shama, or Jamaica for help. Also on Bro 6, just to show you real quick, is you can create chat rooms in Bro 6. Okay, so some of the chat rooms, again, we have each office should have their chat room, but if you notice, there's a chat room called help. If you have any of these uncomfortable questions, just go on the help Bro 6, and it will link to myself and a few others that could jump on and ask and help you out with whatever questions you need. But again, there's a company-wide Bro 6 chat room where if you click on it, it will reach everyone, and you could just ask a general question. Whoever's available could help, or could jump on the PC and log in and see what help you need. Okay, so we all here to help. We all are each other's backup. So don't feel uncomfortable. Don't feel uncomfortable about anything. We all got your back. Now let's talk about last pay stub for a second. Okay, so with last pay stubs, and we can go on through this over and over again. Just want to make sure you guys are clear. We are still doing returns on last pay stubs. We just can't send them out. Okay, so when we're done with a client and a client calls in and asks, hey, can I do my return with the last pay stub? You will say yes. We could do a return with the last pay stub. You will get 50 with your last pay stub as long as you complete and sign the return. Your return is good to go. But your funds will not be released without your W-2. Okay, and by funds, I mean your advance and your refunds will not be released without a W-2. So you come in with your last pay stub. You could do the return. I'll give you a refund minus your fees. I'll give you your 50, your sign off. We're good to go. But I need that W-2 in order for me to release your advance, in order for me to release your refund. Okay, so return could still be done. You can still give them 50. Make sure you have the client sign. Also, make sure you mark the return in review. Now, this should be the only time a return is marked in review is a return waiting for a last pay stub. Okay, complete the return. Complete the completed return form for last pay stub returns. Do not scan the paperwork. Put the paperwork in the last pay stub box in the processing office. Now, once the client comes back with that W-2, what you would do then is get the paperwork from the box. Make sure the numbers still looks good. Sometimes with last pay stub and W-2s, the numbers may be different. They may change depending on the time the books were closed by their employer. So what you want to do is verify the W-2s to the tax return. Make sure everything looks fine while the client is still there. Just in case there's a change, the client could be there and still sign off on the return. Okay, so everything looks good. The return is still the same thing. Mark the return from in review to complete, scan the paperwork and file, and everything is good to go. All right, so return status definition in process. I don't even know if that's still around or if that will be around with the new Phoenix, but if it is, do not have any return in process. That's a big no-no. It throws off a lot of stuff, okay? So there should never be a return left in process. There should only be a return on hold, return in review, or walkout. Okay, return on hold is information missing. We have the original paperwork and no 50 is given. Okay, so for example, the client comes in with the W-2s, but they're waiting for another W-2 from their job, or they're waiting for a mortgage statement, or they're waiting for a tuition statement. The return is not complete, it's just almost ready to be completed. That return is put on hold. We still have the original paperwork, and the 50 is not given to the client. Okay, that's put on hold in the box, and we follow up with the client from time to time. Return and review. That means the return is ready to go. It was signed off. We're just waiting for a W-2. All right, a 50 was given on this return. Okay, and walkout returns or CRO returns. That means the client left with the original paperwork. Whether we have a copy of the paperwork or not, it doesn't matter. Whether the client says, I'll be right back, it doesn't matter. If the client leaves with the original paperwork, it's a walkout. The return needs to be marked as a walkout so we can follow with the client on the back end and try to get them back into the door. Okay, so just an FYI, I know again some typos, but just remember, those who knows the rules. Okay, for example, lawyers knows the law, but they know how to interpret the law. Okay, so everything you guys learning are rules that we have in place, things we've learned through experience, things that make the whole process works. Okay, we've been doing this for about 20 years now, been in business for about 12 years now, so we definitely know what needs to be done, how things need to look. Okay, but again, any questions, Bro Six, always ask. All right, so this ends our second series. Look forward to you guys listening to the other series that we'll be posting soon. Have a great and successful tax season.
Space and time, so don't cry. One day all seven will die. And I saw an angel come down unto me. In her hand she holds the very key. Words of compassion, words of peace. And in the distance, the armies march and feed. Behold.